First off, I want to tell you a quick story about bees. Seems a little bit out there, non-related to our topic, but that's okay. I'm going to tell you about the first time that I experienced a bee sting. So as I think about this, I'm sure many of you can remember, if you've ever been stung by a bee, when was that first time? So for me, I was about 5 or 6 years old. I had just gotten a new set of rollerblades for my birthday. It was the summertime, and my parents lived on a hill at the time. So I was practicing, rolling down the sidewalk into the grass to stop, because I hadn't really figured out stopping. I had on, my elbow pads and my knee pads. They were probably Ninja Turtles, my helmet. And I got a little bit braver, and I decided to go further up the sidewalk down into the grass in the front yard. And I went too fast, didn't know how to stop, and went right into the bushes. I'm sure my mom was pretty upset about, me smashing her flowers. And the bee that was on one of those flowers was pretty upset as well. So had experienced my first bee sting on my finger. I still remember it to this day. So why am I talking about bees? Well, to me, inconsistent brands are a lot like bees. Bees are really great. They do a lot of really good in the world, but because they're inconsistent, we don't know what to expect from them. Many of you have probably seen out in public sometime, even, grown humans swatting incessantly at the air at something that maybe you can't see, but they can, as they see a bee, flying around them. The inconsistency in how they fly and the inconsistency of whether they're going to sting you or not is what lends a lot of us to not trust them. So moving forward and tying that into our topic today, I really believe that a brand that people know and trust is your foundation for everything else that you do, whether it's fundraising, whether it's partnerships, recruiting. That could be employees, or I see, many from universities on today. If you're recruiting students to come to your school, whether it's your revenue and growth of your company, or, I even see some nonprofits on today. Fulfilling your mission is a big piece of that. A brand that people know and trust is that foundation for everything else. And especially in today's world, where we have had some changes and there have been some impacts from COVID-19. This is an interesting thing that I read just a few weeks ago. Edelman, they do some research on the impact of brand trust every year. They came out actually with a new report recently on the impact of brand trust due to COVID-19. This is one of the insights I found really, really interesting, that the majority of people here agree that how well a brand responds to this crisis of COVID-19 will have a huge impact on their likelihood to buy from that brand in the future. So regardless of, what industry you are in, there's a real impact in ensuring that the brand that you are building is a trusted brand and one that people can count on. And there's long-term impacts of that, which we'll talk more about. So here's my one takeaway. If I could pound on the table right now, and I want you to remember one thing today, it's this. The most important investment that an organization can make today is in a strong, consistent brand that people trust. And I know we have a lot of marketers and creatives on right now, and I'm seeing Warren McKenna type in, pound the table. I'm pounding the table here. You can't hear it, you can't see it, but I'm doing it. So the most important investment is this strong, consistent brand. I know we have a lot of marketers and creatives on, and they're probably thinking, well, duh. But the part two of this that I want you to remember today is that building a consistent brand is not just marketing or the creative team's responsibility. It's everyone across your organization. And even that sometimes extends to vendors or partners or other people who interact with or are stewards on behalf of your brand. And so we're going to talk about how that's possible. It's a challenge, rallying everyone together and helping them understand that how they can contribute and enrich your brand over time and not undermine it. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we've seen happening in the world today. The major change that I've seen, especially the last 5 years or so, with regards to marketing and branding, and this is across every industry again, it's what I call the design democracy. So let me break this down for you. There's two parts to the design democracy. The first is that the world now expects great design. Here's a quick example. Is everyone familiar with the Webby Awards? They started in 1997, and they kind of score every year the best websites out there. And they've kind of expanded to scoring lots of other things too. But 1997, you can see here, This was the Webby Award winner for the best homepage, Family Planet. And you compare that to this award winner from 2019 for the best homepage. And this is actually, it's hard to tell from this, but this is a chandelier company. They manufacture and sell chandeliers. And as you move your cursor across the screen, the light kind of follows it, kind of like it's the lights bouncing through a chandelier. So if I were to ask you, which of these is the better design? How many votes do I have for the 1997 Family Planet? Anyone? Probably not, okay? Even if I pulled someone in here off the street, regardless of whether you have a design background or not, most people, I think, are going to select, this 2019 one as having better design. Well, why is that? It's not just that technology has come so far, but it's that our expectations have come so far that we expect great design across all interactions, whether it's physical, digital, or in-person experiences, or experiences over the phone with the customer service or with sales. We expect that. The second part to the design democracy is that everyone is now a content creator. Here's what I mean. When we think back to how marketing was done in the Mad Men days of the 1960s, typically it was a marketer or an advertiser doing mass marketing to a mass audience. Today, it's pretty different. Like we've talked about already, it's everyone across your organization, maybe sometimes even vendors or partners who are doing quote unquote marketing, right? They're creating content across a variety of channels for an increasingly fragmented audience. Not only that, but that audience expects with all of the content that's out there that what you share with them is relevant and personalized to them. So that creates some challenges, right? For most organizations, as you think about this design democracy, there's two challenges that we hear most often that I want to highlight. The first is off-brand, poorly designed content. So as you look at this flyer here that I found online for a music festival, what's your perception of the quality of this event? Does it look like a high quality event, high class event that you want to attend? Probably not, right? And to be fair, I'm not poking fun at whoever made this flyer out there. I'm not sure who it was. I imagine though that they did the best they could with the tools and the resources that were given to them. But unfortunately, the end result of what they created inhibits our perception or damages our perception of the quality of the brand of this event, right? It's the same thing when off-brand content is created at all of our organizations, even if it's something small, even if it's a small business card that's slightly off-brand or a social post. All of those things add up over time. We've done some studies and found that 88% of organizations have seen content created and distributed across their organization that does not conform to brand guidelines. I would guess that the number is probably actually higher than that. This is only 88% of organizations have seen that, right? There's probably off-brand content being created at some of those other 12%, right? The second challenge that's created is the increasing number of creative requests. So where are my creatives out there? Any of you creatives on there? From another study, we found that creative teams are producing 10 times the volume of content that they've produced in previous years. Have you felt that? Have you seen that, creatives? It's an insane amount of content that is being produced by every organization. And it's hard to keep up with. There's some big challenges. So here's what I want to do. If we were here in person, I'd love to open this up and have a broader discussion. I want to ask you to drop your answers to some of these questions in chat. So if you feel so inclined, these are some questions I'd ask you to reflect on and share some of it with us in chat. The first is, how well is your organization keeping up with the increased demands of content creation? Are you feeling the strain of the increased demands of content creation? Or are you hanging in there? It looks like some are hanging in there. Some are feeling the strain. Secondarily, how much of your marketing or creative team's time is spent on mundane tasks versus strategic priorities? What I mean by that is there's a lot of production stuff that it's, hey, you created that flyer for us last year. We need to update the date on it. Can you do that? A lot of our creative team's time is spent on that. It looks like there's some people, as I'm looking at the chat right now, that are hearing it. They're feeling this, that they're struggling and being reactive instead of proactive. I think you're not alone. And I think that's why we want to talk about this topic today of brand templating. So thank you for all of you for contributing to and adding to the chat. Ask you again to encourage you to keep doing that as we go throughout this conversation today. So switching directions just a little bit. This is from a study done by Insight, a strategy and consulting firm in Boston. And they found that half of the world's largest companies will disappear by 2027. And if you look at the average lifespan of S&P 500 companies, again, some of the biggest companies in the world, the average lifespan has actually decreased for how long a company stays in the S&P 500 from 33 years in 1964 to a projected only 12 years in 2027. Well, why is that? It's because competition is increasing across every industry. It doesn't matter if you are a nonprofit or a higher ed or a real estate company or an online retailer. It doesn't matter what it is. You're experiencing more competition than you were 5 years ago. But what's really interesting about this is if you break it down further, you find that design-centric companies, companies like Apple or Coca-Cola or Nike or IBM, they actually outperform financially their counterparts by as much as 2 to 1. This was a study done by the Design Management Institute that found, again, it didn't matter the industry. Those that had design core to what they do, and they found a way to scale that across their organization, there were financial impacts for that. Not only that, but these are some of the brands that we all recognize the most. These are some of the world's strongest, most valuable brands. Did you know that last year, Apple's brand was estimated to be worth $205 billion? That's just the estimated value of their brand. Has nothing to do with the rest of their company. It's insane, right? That number is staggering. And so as we break this down, as we think about this a little bit more, and some of these brands that have invested in design and they've built strong brands, what is it that they are doing that the rest of us can learn from? Well, I think one of the biggest lessons is consistency. Consistency is one of the key things to building and maintaining a strong brand. If you think about all the Apple experiences you've had or the Disney experiences you had, there's some core elements that are consistent across each of those. And so when you can have consistent, scalable design, that leads to this strong brand. What that looks like more specifically on a tangible level for your organization is when everyone across your organization, because remember, we're in the design democracy now, and everyone's a content creator. So when everyone knows and understands the brand, and they have the tools and the resources necessary to create on-brand, consistent content, the result of that is people know who you are and what you stand for. And they want to come to your university, or they want to buy a house from you, or they want to buy your product, or they want to donate to your cause. And it's because you're building a brand that people know and trust through the consistency of all that design and content that's being created. I want to share this quote from Michael Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, that I think really helps illustrate this. He said, "A brand is a living entity, and it is enriched or undermined cumulatively over time, the product of 1,000 small gestures." So the two things that I really like about this quote is, first, cumulatively over time. It's about consistency. Again, your brand is built or undermined over time. And it's not about the big campaigns that you do as much as it is about the small gestures, right? What are those small gestures? As you think about it, what are those small gestures that either build or enrich your brand over time? Well, in the design democracy, it's things like the business cards or the proposals that your sales team might share out. It might be the infographics or the banner ads online. It might be a flyer or a brochure or a magazine or a direct mail piece. All of these things are small gestures that enrich or undermine your brand over time. And when we think about the winners in this new design democracy, it's different. The winners go about achieving consistency differently today. In the past, achieving consistency was all about policing the brand. And I see actually some comments in there about, policing the brand. It's about limiting who creates branded content. Today, however, the winning companies are realizing that that's not scalable, and they're empowering anyone across the organization to create consistent branded content, but they're providing them with the tools and the knowledge and the resources that they need to be able to create and customize consistent content. So if we back this up a little bit, most of you probably have worked in an organization that's either like the brand prison. It's what I say here. It's kind of what we just described. It's that central team creates all the content. They say, hey, we're the experts in the brand, so send us your request and we'll create it for you. The problem though is designers become overloaded and stressed. There's a really long turnaround time. It could be weeks or even months before someone gets something back. And so what do? They might just go off on their own and create something that's off brand. How many of you, I'm curious, drop in chat right now, how many of you currently work or have worked in an organization that was structured like a brand prison? Let me know. I wish I could see your hands being raised, but tell me in the chat. Some of you probably have worked in an organization like this though too. It's what I call the Wild West. It's where you have weak brand guidelines. And so rogue off-brand content gets created across your organization. And the result is that your brand suffers. How many of you have currently work or have in the past worked in the Wild West? Looks like a lot coming in. So we've had a lot of you that have worked in one or the other, or I think that it's common. These are the two most common structures that we see. But in the design democracy, we have to remember that there's going to be winners and losers. So as we break this down and synthesize this, the losers are going to be the companies or organizations that limit the number of creators across the organization and allow off-brand experiences to be created. And it's going to stunt their growth. The winners, on the other hand, are those organizations that empower creators all across the org, and they scale great design to create on-brand experiences. Those are the ones that can build lasting brands. So I know some of you are probably thinking, how is this possible? We're going to get to that. I'm going to break that down a little bit further in just a second. But imagine with me just for a minute, you know, this ideal future state that I think many of us that work in design and marketing would love. So imagine a world where your brand, the one that you're trying to build every day, is understood, consistent, and indispensable. Understood meaning everyone across the organization understood the brand guidelines and then followed them. You're consistent across every channel, experience, and communication. Not the same, but consistent. And your brand was indispensable to the growth and revenue and success of your company, so that as marketers and creatives, we didn't have to fight the battles of, you know, proving to the executive team of why it's important to invest in brand. They knew that it was vital to the growth and revenue and success. Sounds pretty great, right? Well, imagine with me if in that same world, that central marketing or creative team was effective, fulfilled, and respected. Effective meaning those people building the brand could spend actually more time building it and less time policing it. Those who work as designers could spend more time on the strategic priorities and less on the mundane edits. And respected meaning everyone across the organization could see designers as strategic partners who could help them do their work better, and not just someone who can, you know, make their project look pretty at the end. Sounds pretty great, right? I mean, this is a world I think that so many of us would love to live in. And we really do believe that it's possible. It's possible with what we call brand templating. That's what Lucidpress is all about. I'm going to show you how we do that. Brand templating is really about empowering everyone, all brand stakeholders, with the resources that they need to create on-brand content quickly and easily. And we believe it's the way that you can double your creative team's output in really half the time by eliminating a lot of the requests that our central marketing and creative teams are working on right now, those menial tweaks and edits, and pushing those back to the requester so they can customize some templates on their own. You reduce the amount of requests and therefore time your creative team has, and you allow them to focus on higher priority initiatives. And I really do believe that this is the solution for thriving in today's new design democracy. So let's break this down a little bit further. Let's talk about what brand templating consists of. There's three main parts to brand templating. The first is creating easy to find libraries of approved templates and the brand assets. Many organizations, you know, create templates in Word or in PowerPoint, but often they forget to share out the assets, the things that people need to customize those templates as well. That might be logos or fonts or colors. It might be pre-written copy snippets or other things that people would need to use to be able to customize that content. Step two of brand templating is locking down important elements of your brand on templates. I think this is one of the most crucial, important aspects of creating successful branded templates across your organization. And it's one that most people don't do, either because they don't know how or they just haven't thought of it. But by locking elements of your templates down, you're not limiting who can do the creation, but you're giving them the guardrails that they need to succeed. An example is, if your logo is on something, lock it down. Most of the time, people don't need to change or tweak your logo. So lock it down completely. Another example is, if you want to allow them to tweak the copy, lock down the text box so they can't move it, or they can't change from the brand font, but they can update the copy. We'll show you how that's possible shortly here in Lucidpress. The last step is empowering then all of those non-designers and everyone across your organization to customize those templates on their own with the approved assets and then share that content. And so with that, I'm actually going to show you what that looks like in Lucidpress. I want to show you what that looks like. So I am going to drop you into Lucidpress. You can see, hopefully you can all see right now my screen in Lucidpress. This is actually my personal account that I use for Lucidpress. I'm going to show you how we use brand templating with Lucidpress across our company and our organization. So a few things I want to point out. As we get into Lucidpress right here, there's a few things that you'll see. The first is that it welcomes me back. That seems like such a small thing, but we have found that in order for branded templates to be successful at your organization, you have to get the end users, those end people who are customizing templates, excited about creating, which means you have to have a platform where they are comfortable and they want to use it and they know how to use it. And so that's part of what this is all about. Lucidpress, when you sign up for one of our business accounts, we can also customize this logo and this primary accent color with your brand color. So it feels like a platform that your company would create if you had unlimited time and resources. So I'm going to walk you through this just at a quick high level and again, show you how we use it. Down the left side is most of our navigation. This is our home screen where I can see browse popular template categories. I can also see the documents I've been working on recently. In my documents, this is where all my folders of documents are and documents that I've been working on. This is really similar to like a Google Drive environment. Templates are all my brand templates live right here, which I'll come back to. Can also store all of your images and assets. And this is one of my favorite sections. It's our brand assets. So this is literally like a living brand guidelines. So our creative team has gone through and they've uploaded our different brand colors, our different versions of our brand fonts. We have a few across our company. We have a few different brands and product lines. And so you can see multiple versions in here. Our fonts, our text styles that we can pull out quickly and easily into anything we're creating. And then some team level smart fields, right, that auto-populate. And I'll show you how that works. So if I go back to templates, you can see, again, these are our branded templates that our company uses internally. And so we have multiple brands, so I can see the different assets that are available for me by brand. We have different teams, so I could search by team. We might even be just the type of content that I can share here today. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna show you a quick example. If I wanted to do a new business card, if I type in business card, I can say, okay, here's my business cards. I can preview this. This is one that, Tyson's one of our designers, and he has created this template for us. So I can see exactly what this template's going to look like. And then I can say use template. And I want you to watch some of the magic that happens as I use this template. What it's going to do, it's going to create a copy of this template. It's going to preserve the original, so there's no V2, V3, or the template getting, corrupted. The template stays the same. It's going to create a copy for me. It's going to say, where would you like to save this in my documents, in a separate folder or just in your master folder? And I can change the name of it. And then I say create document. So this opens for me in a new tab here. And we'll see if it will load for me with my home internet being a little slow. And watch the magic. So did you see that happen? So what happened here, let me explain this a little bit further. We've set up a variety of smart fields in this template. So I have a profile image that's attached to my own personal account. It auto-populated here already. You know, I have my name, my title, my email, phone number, all of that is right in here. And so it's already pre-populated for me. It improves consistency and it makes it even quicker and seamless for me to be able to finalize this content. Some of these things are fully locked down. So if you look at our logo, I can't do anything with that. It's fully locked down. So again, no one's gonna mess that up. Some things are partially locked down. So if for some reason, you know, we have a few different email addresses, because this is a Lucidpress business card, I actually have my Lucid Chart email in here right now. So if I wanted to just say, well, let me change this to Lucidpress. This is my Lucidpress email address. I can do that. But you can notice I can't, off the side over here, I can't change the font. I can't move this text box. So it's given me some of the guardrails that I need to succeed. This looks pretty good. It's auto-populated our website and our address here. So if you wanted to, you could limit the distribution options right here until you've triggered an approval process. Our team has decided not to do that because we feel like locking things down like this has already created a lot of consistency. So I can go ahead and say, let's order prints. And from here I can say, you know, directly from Lucidpress, I can order some of these business cards and select that. You know, I could also share this same document in a variety of ways. I could collaborate with others on it. I could have a published version, kind of like the presentation I've been showing you, embed it in an email, share to social, or even download the file if I wanted to go print it on my own in the office or somewhere else. So there's a few things that I want you to highlight. I just wanted you to walk you through an example of what brand templating looks like in action for our organization. Again, there's a few components to it. It's creating the templates and the assets. It's locking down elements of those templates to ensure consistency. And then it's sharing those things out and training and empowering others across your organization to be able to create on their own. And so that's the gist of it today right here. I want to go back as we kind of finalize this. We have a few minutes left, you know, before we get to our Q&A. And I'm curious for those of you, I've seen a lot of questions coming in chat. We'll answer some of those as we get to our Q&A here in a minute. But I'm curious, for those of you out there who have created some form of branded templates for your company, what have been the challenges? What have been the wins by doing that? And this is not necessarily Lucidpress. If you've tried, you know, creating with templates within Word or within PowerPoint or with some other printing platform, what have you noticed? Why have you tried to create templates, or why not? And what have been the challenges or wins? I'd love for you to drop that in the chat and share some of your experiences, you know, with us as we go throughout the rest of this today. So I'll get to some of those at the end, and maybe we can read some as they start coming in, but it looks like a lot of them are coming in right now. So looking at some of the comments coming in right now, it looks like programs are pretty clunky. I think that's true. I think that's why I highlighted at the very beginning, one of the things we've done differently with Lucidpress is really try to focus on that experience. Because if people are not going to use the templates to create content, they don't want to, you're not going to be able to solve the problem of reduced number of requests for the central creative team and improved consistency. Lots of other questions coming in. This is great. I think that we'll get to some of these as we get to our Q&A, but I appreciate all of you sharing some of your ideas and experiences with us here in chat. So as we wrap up here, I want to keep this, you know, short and timely today. We're going to get you all out of here even before we said, but as we wrap up today, some of my final thoughts before we get to Q&A are this: brand templating can improve consistency and reduce those mundane tasks for your creative team. We've seen it with so many of our customers. We've seen it internally at our company as we've implemented brand templating also. And so if you're struggling with either of these things, of wanting to build a stronger, more consistent brand, or your central marketing creative team is bombarded with all of these menial tasks and mundane edits, then we encourage you to look for a way to implement a brand templating solution across your organization, because these are the benefits that come from it. And I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to hear from some of our customers. What do they think about our brand templating platform? And so I'm going to play this short video for this, and so you can hear from them.
issue of capacity, right? Lucidpress has enabled us to move from a team of 5 to a team of 100 almost.
By implementing something like Lucidpress, it's allowing people to self-serve. So each department can create the content. We're still maintaining brand consistency. You just build the template, you put it in, and everyone's got access to it. It just makes everything so much simpler.
When you get that itch in your head to design a brochure or think up some piece of collateral, having that 24/7 availability and the support and the robustness of the product makes a huge difference.
There are graphic design tools out there, and they're great, but they don't allow the control that Lucidpress allows.
Lucidpress fundamentally has changed how my department functions. Our social media collateral alone has, truly probably tripled since we signed on with Lucidpress.
Our efficiencies have just gone through the roof. It has allowed us the opportunity to advance our marketing department into other areas like video.
25 to 30 hours a week is probably my savings from Lucidpress.
Lucidpress is a massive time saver for us.
Lucidpress is a marketer's dream.
Well, thank you so much. I know that there were a few issues, it seems like, with some of the sound, but we will send that out afterwards so that people can go through this. You'll be able to go through this entire deck, including the video, and watch it again on your own. So, but hopefully you can see, it's not just our word for it. We really believe in this idea of brand templating, and we believe that Lucidpress is the best platform out there to help organizations do that. So again, just to bring it back home as we finalize here, the first thing that I said that I wanted you to remember today, and this is the thing I want to remind you of and you take away, is that the most important investment that an organization can make today is in a strong, consistent brand that people trust. It's all about building that trust, and it comes through consistency. And the second part of this is building a consistent brand is not just marketing's responsibility. It's everyone's across your organization. And a big part of marketing and creative teams' roles today and going forward in the future is going to be spent on empowering everyone across the organization to help in that process of building a consistent brand. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to V. I think we're going to do this giveaway. So those of you who are still here, V, if you want to jump on, we'll do this giveaway, and then we'll jump into a quick Q&A at the end.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Garrett. Just before I announce the winners of our two $25 DoorDash gift cards, I wanted to let you know about a couple of our upcoming webinars in case you were interested. Next week, we're hosting a panel discussion geared to creative teams. So if you are a graphic designer, art director, creative director, this is the panel discussion for you. It's going to be on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's called Design and Marketing in the New Normal. We'll be joined by creative leaders from the Wolf Company and Lucidchart, and the link will be in the chat box if you'd like to register for that. Also, if you found today's presentation on brand templating useful, our June Lunch and Learn will be a sequel to today's topic. In June, we'll discuss template intervention and the 9 most common templating mistakes that organizations make. So we'll be promoting that in the next week or two. Make sure to look out for that. And with that, let's go ahead and announce the winners of our gift cards. The first winner is...
A little drum roll here, V.
Drum roll.
Okay.
The first winner is Cami Bennett. So congratulations.
Woo-hoo!
Woo. The second winner, should we do another drum roll? The second winner is Stacy Norris. So again, the winners are Cami Bennett and Stacy Norris. Oh, it looks like Cami already said, woohoo, you're very welcome. I'm so glad you loved our webinar. I'll go ahead and contact you, Cami and Stacy, post-webinar via email, and I'll get those DoorDashes sent to you later today. You can enjoy lunch later today or tomorrow if you'd like. Great, I'll hand back the time to Garrett for our Q&A. Oh, looks like Garrett might be frozen. There were a couple of questions that came in that I wrote down that came through the chat box. So I quickly wrote them down. I wanted to just mention them. Some of the questions were, how do you compare to Canva? What is your competitive advantage over them? I know that Tyson addressed it in the chat box, but basically we are different from Canva in that we are more geared toward enterprise. and companies with larger teams. Canva is a fantastic platform. They are really good in the self-serve. Say if I wanted to create a potluck flyer, I love going over to Canva and using some of their stuff. But if you're with an organization, you're having, you need to collaborate with your teams, Lucidpress is a really good solution for that. Another question is Lucidpress a digital asset manager? We do have a, you can store your assets on Lucidpress, but you can also integrate your own digital asset management system as well with us. Another question was pricing structure. That information is available on our website, or if you'd like to schedule a demo with one of our great sales teams afterwards, happy to get that scheduled with you as well. We will be following up post-webinar with some emails that you can feel free to respond to, and you can get connected with one of the people on our sales team. It looks like Garrett is back on. Hey, Garrett.
I am here. Sorry about that, everyone.
No.
Looks like my home internet dropped out here for a minute, so I had to switch it over, but let's get to some of those questions, shall we, Dee?
Yeah, I just barely answered 3 questions while you were gone by myself.
Nice work.
But I just addressed how do we compare to Canva. I talked about how Lucidpress can act as a digital asset management, or they can integrate, and a little bit about our pricing structure, that they can find the information online or get more information after the event. But looks like there's Q&As in the Q&A box too, if you'd want to go ahead and address those.
Okay, awesome. So let me pull this up right here so I have it and I can see it and we can go through it together. So I'm sure V did even a much better job than I would have answering many of these questions. Am I cutting out again? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you okay, Garrett.
Okay, perfect. Sorry if there's a little bit of lag. We'll see if we get to this. We have a couple minutes left. So the next question I think we had on here was, does Lucidpress provide cloud storage, or do you just plug in your own? The short answer is both. So Lucidpress, and V probably mentioned this a little bit with regards to the question about digital asset management. Lucidpress is what we call like a light digital asset management tool. Which means if you don't have a full-scale digital asset management tool, if you're using Google Drive or Box or something like that right now, you'll find Lucidpress's asset management, storage, and improvement over that. But it's not going to be full-scale what you would get from, one of those higher-end, high-cost digital asset management tools that are out there. And so that when you have a Lucidpress account, especially a business account, you have unlimited cloud storage for storing all of those assets and templates. So there's no limits on the amount of images or templates that you can store in Lucidpress. It looks like there is another question about, can I add assets that were not created in Lucidpress and then work with them? Yes, you can. And one of the things that differentiates Lucidpress from many others out there, like Canva, I know there was a question about that, is we have a full-scale InDesign import, which is a game changer for most creative and marketing teams. What that means is that creatives can still work in Adobe InDesign to lay out, flyers and templates and business cards and everything else that they want, and then import those into Lucidpress and convert those to templates and lock them down so that they can become fully customizable by your team. And again, that's one of the things that I think differentiates Lucidpress the most from many other tools out there. We have a pretty amazing engineering team who has built from scratch this InDesign import. And I haven't seen any other companies who've done it just like that in the way that we have. I know we have a few minutes left, but a few questions here then is, can PowerPoint templates be designed in Lucidpress? The short answer for that is not a PowerPoint template, but the presentation that I shared with you today was a Lucidpress document. So we actually have replaced most of our PowerPoint presentations internally with Lucidpress documents. What's nice about that is you can create a document in Lucidpress. You'll find many of the design functionality even superior to something like PowerPoint. You can publish a version of that to the web. And so then you just have a URL that can be customized that you can send people to. So after this today, we'll just send you all the link to the presentation that I was sharing today. Because it's web-based, there'll be embedded videos, image slideshows, potentially scrolling boxes and things like that that make it more interactive. So a PowerPoint format specifically, no, but you can create many presentations in here, and that's what our team has done for Lucidpress. And I know that there's a handful of other questions, and it looks like we are about time, and I promised you all that we would get out of here on time. So those of you that have other questions, feel free to email us. We will send all this information out after our webinar today. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free to respond. You can respond directly to myself. Again, I just showed you all my email address. It's garrett@lucidpress.com. Feel free to email me directly or reply on the emails that we'll send out. And our team would love to answer some of your questions that you might have about the platform. But again, we really appreciate you all spending the time with us today. We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy and happy in some of this crazy time. And we hope that you can continue to think about the topic that we talked about today, about building a strong brand that people trust and making sure that everyone across your organization is part of building that strong brand. And we really believe that brand templating, specifically even with Lucidpress, can help you to be more successful in doing that. So thank you again for your time. And I know that V mentioned some of the upcoming webinars that we have. We'd love to have you back. So please join us again next month for our next Lunch and Learn, and next week for the creative panel discussion that we will have. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day.